from PRX.
Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for the podcaster who's here to talk about stories and musicals and maybe the movie version of something, but very slowly, very meandering, and take me forever to get there, because this is Sleep With Me. Welcome if you're new. This is a podcast that's here to keep you company and take your mind off of stuff so you could fall asleep. A little bit different. It's a sleep podcast that doesn't put you to sleep, but is more a friend in the deep, dark night. I'll just be here talking for your benefit. So give it a few tries if you're new, see how it goes. What we got coming up is support, so the podcast can come out. Most people like to listen to this ad-supported version twice a week. Then a long, meandering intro meant to ease you into bedtime. And then we'll be talking about Act 2 of the musical Legally Blonde. And I just watched the movie last night, so I said, okay, well, I don't know how will it take me as long as it takes them to perform Act 2 of the musical, or less time. Because if it takes me less time, then I'm going to need to watch the movie to fill in some blanks. I'm a slow reader, so I won't be able to complete the book. But yeah, welcome to Sleep With Me. I'm glad you're here. If you're new, I think, just see how it goes. And this show is made possible for everybody by people that support the show directly on Sleep With Me Plus, or support the sponsors who send their kindness out to me or to other listeners or to podcasts in general. Spread the word about the show, or just falling asleep right now, getting comfortable. Thanks so much. And here's a couple of ways we're able to do this for you. All right, everybody, it's time to talk about tonight's sponsor, Marley Spoon. And you know, I love to cook, but when it comes to shopping and meal planning, that's where there's a gap. And every year I tell myself I'm going to plan out my meals, I'm going to prepare all the ingredients, I'm going to go shop, and I'm going to make a list. It just feels like a lot of work, and that's why I'm so happy to be working with Marley Spoon, because with Marley Spoon, dinner just works. Marley Spoon's helping me fast-track my way to eating well without any of the stress I was just talking about. And with our code SLEEP, you can get up to 27 free meals. And here's what I love. Marley Spoon gives you over 100 recipes to choose from each week. We're talking everything from cozy comfort food like big batch beef stroganoff to lighter options like the salmon and creamy mustard dill sauce tray bake. There's literally something for every mood. Last night we had French onion chicken breast, which was absolutely delicious. It was super simple to make, but it came out, it was like a restaurant quality dinner. We're also having a flatbread tonight. I got a couple of their easier tray bake meals. But yeah, I want something that tastes delicious, which check, Marley Spoon. I want something that's straightforward, easy to follow recipes, where I don't have to go grocery shopping or make a list. And then I'm going to feel good about eating and serving my daughter. This new year, fast track your way to eating well with Marley Spoon. Head to marleyspoon.com/offer/sleep and use the code SLEEP for up to 27 free meals. That's right, up to 27 free meals with Marley Spoon. One last time, that's marleyspoon.com/offer/sleep for up to 27 free meals. And make sure you use our promo code SLEEP so they know I sent you. Sleep With Me podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states. Hey, everybody, this is Scoots here, and this is where I talk about supporting the show directly, so how we're able to be here for you on a regular basis, particularly if you count on sleeping me like 3 nights a week, 4 nights a week, 5 nights a week, or you listen all night long. If you listen to that many episodes or you listen all night long, it is kind of critical, because if you lean on the podcast that much, we kind of need to lean on you, too. Those super listeners, like we like to call them, are just get put into a stupor. But if you identify with, I'm going to talk about what Mark did and why Mark supported the show. Go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus right now and sign up to support the show. So Mark said, I chose to support the show to skip the ads and the Mystery Bard song. While beautiful, it also woke me up. With the ad-free, story-only, and all-night episodes, Sleep With Me Plus is the ultimate sleep experience. I also wanted to make sure the show was there for new listeners who use the ad-supported version like I did for years. And I'm proud of supporting an artist who is so unique and hardworking. And I also feel less guilty while listening to the intros. So thanks, Mark. And yeah, if you identify with Mark said, if you already know you want to support the show, that's really, you're the one I'm talking to right now that already want to support the show, but there's just something little getting in your way. Use Mark's words and just take that step right now. sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. Supporting your support does mean a lot to us. Otherwise, I wouldn't ask, right? That's sleepwithmepodcast.com/PLUS. Sign up right now. Thanks. Oh, Mystery Bard. A lot of people help out on this show. Who are they?
Chris Posty Poster Son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes. Carl W. the Legend. Also edits episodes. Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at JonathanMann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Hannah like banana. Leah does the transcript.
Thanks, Mystery Bard. Oh, Mystery Bard, by the way, did you know if you sign up for Sleep Phones, we're giving you some access to Sleep With Me Plus? So if you go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleepphones, not only the most comfortable way to listen to Sleep With Me, you can get those Sleep With Me branded sleep phones. You could use the code Sleep With Me to save $5 off your order. And then when you get your sleep phones, you just send a message to Scooter through the contact form on our website, and you'll get access to Sleep With Me Plus. So get those sleep phones, sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleepphones, and then send us a message. Thanks, everybody. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it the bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake. It could be thoughts, things on your mind about the past, the present, the future, the thoughts you're thinking about, thoughts about thoughts. Was that an imaginary podcast I never made? Thinking Thoughts, I know that one. Thoughts and Things, that was an imaginary store I created. Think, Thought. Those may be tangents you've heard before. The best tangents are when I'm not thinking about them. So that's funny. Like, thoughts are much more direct, even when they're not sensible. But I say, hey, I'd like to take you. Could I put my arm around you? If it's my thought, I would just say this to my thought. Don't worry, your thoughts. I don't need to. I could just be in their general vicinity. My thought just said, did you say vicinity? I did. I meant to say, now I can't remember if the word is vicinity. That doesn't sound like the correct word anymore. Well, what does vicinity mean? A friendly vicinity. It means I'm at a friendly distance. Vicinity, eh? Yeah, it's also, it was a fragrance I never created. Vicinity. Because once I explained what it was, it took away from the fragrance. And they said, you need a catchphrase. And I said, well, I have vicinity. And I said, well, isn't that good enough? And they said, no. And they said, do you have any more? I said, well, it's like a friendly vicinity. Wouldn't you like to be friendly in my vicinity? Vicinity, the scent that you want to have, the scent you want to smell at a friendly distance, vicinity. So there, we completed that one. As soon as I stopped thinking about it, it came to me. So it could be thoughts, things on your mind about the past, present, and future. It could be feelings or physical sensations, like emotions that are coming up for you, like from the past, like the past, present, and future as well. Or, yeah, anything physically happening. Could be changes in time, temperature, routine. You could be traveling. You could have guests. You could be going through something, getting over something, or in the middle of something, or maybe work a different shift. Whatever it is, the only reason I go through some of that stuff is so you know you're not alone. And if you're anything like me, say, well, yeah, no, I don't want to be reminded, and I say, yeah, no, I understand, but I'm here to keep you company and take your mind off stuff, whether you're listening or not, and to remind you that, it's not easy when you can't sleep. You deserve a bedtime you could look forward to or at least feel neutral about. Bedtime you don't have to dread, and a bedtime where you can get the sleep you need so your life is more manageable, like the bedtime that doesn't have a lot of rigmarole. And hopefully this show could become a part of that, because I've been there, right? The reason I make the show is when I was a kid and I couldn't sleep, I'd tune into comedy radio. Because even though I shared a room with my brother, I felt really lonely and alone. Even though my parents said, hey, what if you try not thinking? What if you try going to sleep? What if you try breathing or tightening, doing those muscle things? I said, well, those only work once for me. Then the next night I can't sleep again. And it wasn't until I started listening to the radio and comedy radio in particular that it took me out of that place where I said, oh, at least I have something to listen to that's nice, that's outside of me. And then sometimes what would happen, sometimes I'd laugh, sometimes I'd feel like a part of something, and then sometimes I'd fall asleep because I was distracted. And that's kind of why I make the show, because that's what helped me, but also I really know what it feels like. And may not feel like that exact same way for you, but maybe you could relate to some of the ways that it felt for me then, and it still does now when I can't sleep. And that's kind of what makes up the community of the show. It's a silent, sleepy community for the most part, but it's welcoming and inclusive because we're connected by like something we can all kind of relate to, and we nod our, okay, yeah. So if you're new, there's people right now listening who are kind of like have a nice look on their face, like, and they're like holding a space gently for you, saying, hey, I'm glad you're here, and I really hope this podcast can help you like I did. The show is a bit different. It does take some getting used to. It took me some getting used to. But I hope the podcast can help you out. The way it works is I send my voice across the deep, dark night. I use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, and superfluous tangents, which means my voice is not traditionally soothing. it's like my voice could be described as, oh, it's not half bad. It's not all bad. I mean, it's not all bad. It's, could be considered 49% not great. But there's 51% of it that's barely listenable. What do you mean? Like I could barely, no, like you barely pay attention to it. I don't know. He's very forgettable. He realized that was a fragrance that was already taken, but, he said, what about always forgettable? And they said, who on earth would buy that fragrance? So I said, well, spies, secret, people like me that say, I don't want to be noticed. I mean, I do deep down want to be noticed. That's why it's barely forgettable. Or did I say almost forgettable? I don't want to be unforgettable because that comes with a lot of expectations. You say, okay, what are you doing? Going undercover? Yeah, I got to put on some cologne. Well, that just sounds like a terrible idea. Oh, well, it's a special kind of cologne. It's called barely forgettable. Okay, where'd you hear about that cologne? A sleep podcast? Yeah, actually, it was imaginary cologne, so no one will smell me anyway. Wow, that actually sounds like it's like a method thing. When I cover myself in barely forgettable, I'm covering myself in fiction. Okay, that doesn't make. Are you sure you're like? Well, I'm just an imaginary figure within his mind anyway, so I'm barely forgettable. Believe it or not, it's hard. It's kind of like being Moriarty on TNG. I'll be there, but he won't remember me for a while. Wow, that was a deep reference. Yeah, it was. It's a reference he's not made in years and years and years. Okay, did you see Creaky Dulcet Tones and Pointless Meanders, though? Yeah, he goes off topic. He gets mixed up. Because this is a podcast, if you're new, it does take some getting used to. Maybe you found your way here because you couldn't sleep. You were searching for something, or somebody told somebody and they recommended the show, or you just stumbled upon it. You're like, wait a second, I thought this was a sleep podcast. This is like listed on all these sleep podcast lists. When's it going to get sleepy? Aren't you going to do any, is there any metronomes in this podcast? No. I mean, there's a metro, I live in a metro area and I drone on and on and on. So you could call me a metro drone. But, I mean, I do have 3 metronomes that I bought thinking one day I'd use them as part of this podcast, but it hasn't happened yet. Well, that's interesting. Well, yeah, not really, because I haven't. But, yeah, so it does take some getting used to just because this podcast is always going nowhere. And most regular listeners, they're the ones that were like, yeah, when I first started listening to this podcast, I was like, what is going on here? And when's it going to get started? And then I realized, oh, now I get it. Or I just woke up and then I woke up and I went, oh, wait a second. I stopped listening to him. But then I was kind of listening to him. Oh, it really works. I had no idea something like this could be out there. So give it a few tries and see how it goes for you. If it doesn't work for you, I have a website set up, sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you. Which has other sleep podcasts and sleepy stuff on there. And you could check that out. But just give it a try to see how it goes. Because even if this podcast doesn't work for you, I hope you find something that does. And that's why I made that website. But what else do you need to know other than most people don't like this podcast? Well, this is a podcast you don't really listen to. That takes some adjustment. It's like a background noise or a TV on in the other room or like sand going through your hands, out of focus picture. It's something you're kind of paying attention to, but kind of not. Or like when you're let's just be honest, since it's just the two of us here, when you're barely listening to someone. Because you're either doing something else or you're just not, you say, okay. But you may be occupied. Maybe they're on the phone. Maybe they're even there in person. I mean, I can do it, I can do it there. I can do it anywhere. Barely listen to people. I mean, I'm trying. I do try, but it happens. And then you say, and then you're like, wait a second, I don't know what that person was talking. And they say, so what do you really think? And then you're like, are they calling me out? Or are they really asking me what I think? Because I don't know what to think. I don't even know what to think. Oh, okay. Really? You don't know what to think about, and they say, oh, well, I just know I don't know what to think about it, And luckily this podcast, that's a built-in expectation. I'm never going to, if I ask you, what do you think? And you say, I don't know what to think. Yeah. No, I don't know what to think. Totally. I'll say, perfect. You're in the right place. I'm glad you're here. So, yeah, Scoots, totally don't know what to think about what you're saying. That's both the truth and I'm partially humoring you. And I say, great, we're going to get along just fine then. So it's a podcast. It does take some getting used to because most podcasts you pay attention to, even bedtime stories. As children, we kind of did pay attention to them. That's one of the things I feel like is different between an adult bedtime story and a children's one. From my perspective, somebody, or the way I like to make them is like, I feel like a kid's bedtime story should be engaging and then lead to an ending. Where a adult bedtime story is kind of like a children's bedtime story is delivered. Where this kind of bedtime story, we're accompanying one another on a journey or something like that. We're walking side by side, but at some point, you don't have to do any, maybe I'm pulling a wagon or something, I don't know. The metaphor did not develop, but you know what I'm saying. So this is a podcast you barely listen to. It's also a sleep podcast where there's no pressure to fall asleep with this show. I'm going to be here over an hour, whether you're awake or asleep. I'm going to be here to keep you company. Like whether you're listening or not. If you wake up in the middle of the night, I'll be here. If you need a break during the day, I'll be here. I'm going to be here to the very end because there's people who are listening who can't sleep at all. So just kind of see how it goes. Because I'm here to be your boar friend, your boar sib, your boar bud, your neighbor, your boar bee, your boar bestie, your chorus Borloff, your chairman of the board, your best boyfriend forever, your bearman of the chord. That would be like, I don't know if that could come in handy in the next Renaissance fair. Bearman of the chord. Did I ever tell you that legend? No. Yeah, because I don't remember it at all. I fell asleep. Okay. So it's a podcast you barely listen to. It doesn't put you to sleep. It keeps you company while you fall asleep. What else do I need to know? Well, the way the show works is it's structured in a very particular way, but you can adjust how you listen as you become a regular listener. Most people like to listen to this version linearly. Then a little bit smaller percentage of people listen with like a 60-minute or 45-minute sleep timer. But beyond that, like after you get to like, if that's 51% of the audience, the other 49% listens in a variety of ways, right? So we structure the show this way so it can benefit the most amount of people it can, and then you can kind of adjust from there. So the show starts off with a greeting, so I can meet you where you are and say, hey, welcome. If you want to be in this vicinity, you say, well, I'd prefer not to smell anything. I said, perfect. I'm wearing vicinity. It's an imaginary fragrance. And it captures the spirit of friendly vicinity. And I say, you could imagine it smells nice or smells like nothing at all. So, okay, I think I can imagine smelling like, and well, yeah, no, I'm barely following you. Great. You're in the right place then. But I greet people so you feel seen and welcomed in, and you say, okay, I can kind of get the nature or the tone of the show. Then there's support, so that most people like listening to this ad-supported version for free. And then if you prefer some of the not ads, you can get that at Sleep With Me Plus. But then after the support is a show within a show, the intro. It has nothing to do with the support. And it's about 12 to 20 minute long thing that we're about 18 minutes into it, I think, where I try to explain what the podcast is, not unsuccessfully, maybe insuccessfully, because it goes on and on and on. But that I follow a similar, I'm having trouble speaking. No wonder, I guess no wonder I'm coming up with so many new fragrances. But I follow a familiar structure every time so that it's okay, this is familiar, but every intro is different. Wow. Like you made like 1,000 something episodes. Yeah, every intro is different so that we kind of get time to hang out and you're reassured by the structure. But whatever it is that keeps you awake doesn't feel talked down to. It's like, no, I'm putting in effort here to barely distract you. Like, I know you're going to want something new every time. If you're anything like my thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations, you want to be entertained, barely entertained, but... So the intro is different every time, and the reason it goes on and on and on is so that you have some time to get ready for bed, to wind down, to get comfortable if you're in bed, so that you're eased into bedtime. Like, I have never found that I could just fall asleep instantly. And most of what I read about and learn about is that having a bedtime routine works personally for me most of the time. So it gives you a buffer between being awake and asleep. So that's why the intro goes on and on and on. Then there's support. Then there'll be our bedtime story. Tonight we'll be talking about Act 2 of Legally Blonde, the musical. And yeah, that's all told will be here about an hour. And I think that's it. I'm really glad you're here. I work really hard. I earn a nice drive. And I really hope I can help you fall asleep. Thanks again for coming by. And here's a couple ways we're able to do it for you for free twice a week. Hey, everybody, this is Scoots here in this part of the show where I say, hey, if you get a lot out of Sleep With Me, right? You listen to Sleep With Me 2 or more times a week. You listen to more than 2 episodes a week. I'd love it, if you go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. That's sleepwithmepodcast.com/PLUS right now and sign up to support the show. And then tomorrow when you're resting, you could set up the bonus content because this message is only for those people, right? Those people who already know you want to support the show. It's just getting you over that last thing to go to that website and sign up. I'm not here to convince anybody because like another supporter said, hey, I get more than I give, right? So Susan said, feels good to support a talented, hardworking creator who generously shares his life experience, sense of humor, care, and compassion with his audience. I found great comfort and or happy distraction in so many episodes. And here's to many more years to Sleep With Me and Ray episodes. And it feels good because I know my support back makes a huge difference and I get a lot of value out of the podcast. And that is from Susan, right? So if you get a lot of value out of podcasts like Susan did, if you love Ray, Fearless Flyers, you want more, and you want the show to be around for you and for everybody else, right? And you want to empower the show back for what it does for you. Go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. That's sleepwithmepodcast.com/PLUS. But thank you so much, Susan, and everybody who supports the show, whether it's through Sleep With Me Plus, through referring people to the show or sponsors. I appreciate it. All right, buddy, this is Scoots. We're back talking about Act 2 of we were talking about Act 1 of Legally Blonde, the musical, and Dan Harmon's story structure. So that episode came out, but I'll give you like most of the details so that you can, except I have my notebook, but I'll get it before we get, I just want to catch you up on where and why. Why are we talking about Legally Blonde, the musical? Well, my daughter I saw it 5 times in 2 weeks. And my daughter is a theater kid. She's in musicals, with other young adults and children. And I've always said, hey, I don't know, I really pay attention to the musicals, and then I start to pay attention to the story. And then I think about story structure, and then I think about Dan Harmon's particular model for like explaining story structure. And then I always say, hey, I should try to apply it as I watch musical after musical. But then I can apply it in the moment, but it does take, at least for me, a lot of thinking and effort. And so if you want to listen to the first part, you could tomorrow or the next day or whatever. But just in case you missed out, like Legally Blonde, the musical, is a story of Elle Woods. And Elle Woods is a college senior when we first meet her. She's a member of the Delta Nu fraternity or sorority. She's like a very active, involved, capable member of that sorority and has very close friendships, very supportive friendships, it seems like, genuine friendships. And she's getting ready to graduate college with the expectation that she'll get engaged to her boyfriend, Warner. Now, so that's Elle's ordinary world or regular world. And Elle's like very capable in that world, despite the fact that you may just judge her by her physicality or whatever, that she's like a blonde, legally blonde, and that she's very beautiful. I mean, that's a part of the plot. So then Elle's kind of call to adventure, whatever you need, is that she goes to her dinner with Warner where she thinks they're going to get engaged. And she finds out Warner's like, I need someone more serious. I'm going to be a senator one day. My brother's marrying a Vanderbilt. And I'm going to need someone serious, and you're not serious, so I'm going to Harvard Law, and, there, somewhere else, I'll find someone serious. I'm sorry, Elle. Then Elle, that's not easy news for Elle, but then I forgot this, she sees, like, this thing in a magazine, because she's down, and her members of her sorority take good care of her. And she sees this engagement announcement in like Cosmo or something. Maybe Elle magazine. And it says, hey, this Vanderbilt got engaged to this dude from law school or whatever, something like that. And she's like, wait a second, that's Warner's brother or whatever. So she says, okay, well, I could prove to Warner that I'm serious because he does love me. This is a summary and whatever. So I will go to Harvard Law to prove like I'm serious because I'm driven by love. And then she gets into Harvard Law, which is her kind of first obstacle. Or you need go is the next thing, like go head out on this adventure. Now, maybe it's a part of her answering the call, like it could be in between those. But she gets into Harvard Law, all through song and a lot of awesome dancing, by the way, because her Harvard essay dance breaks are pretty great. Okay, then she arrives in the new world, Harvard Law. She's not exactly welcomed in there. And it's a new world to her. It has different values. She's not judged by her appearance there, or she's judged negatively by her appearance. All of her skills, because of the value system is different, don't work the way her skills did in her regular world, even though she was capable in her regular world. And people aren't exactly helpful or kind to her, so she has to deal with a lot of stuff, but she meets cool people like Emmett and other cool people whose names escape me because I always want to say Jennifer Coolidge. Yeah. So and she starts to try, right? But only to show she's serious. But at some point, she kind of goes back and forth, trying to win Warner over and prove she's serious. And eventually what happens is she proves she's capable of being a good law student. And she kind of starts to develop a love for the law and like a deeper friendship with Emmett and Jennifer Coolidge's character in the movie, who I apologize to the fictional character whose name I can't remember, just because Jennifer Coolidge is so iconic. I mean, and I just watched the movie last night. But so she goes through this series of challenges, right? Rising challenge or whatever. Then you need to go search, find. And eventually what she finds out is like Warner's not worth it, or he's never going to take her seriously. But she also gets this internship through her capable, what seems like at the time, her capability and her excelling at the law. And she gets this internship, which came up, which was the proof that she would be serious. And that was kind of what she was questing towards, but no longer is it related to, it feels different, but still good, because it's kind of like a ha-ha Warner. Like I still got this. And so that's kind of how, when Elle gets an internship at the end of the first act, it's this big number, like with I feel so much better than before, or something like that. So that's that in the movie. So I watched the movie last night. So we'll just talk about the movie up till here that I can remember, even though I watched it last night. So in the movie, what was interesting, because I talked about it in the last episode, it's like I hadn't seen it since it came out, I don't think, or maybe once, since it came out. And so I was like, man, how do they do all the stuff that they sing about in the movie? And ta-da, they do it in a much different way, but a capable way, by showing, not telling. So there's a lot of moments where a lot of stuff is visually shown, or it's shown through acting and performance, and sometimes through dialogue. And there's like a couple differences in timing and plot and stuff, but or characters. But for the most part, we kind of see the same journey. And in some sense, it's like, it's like one of those things. It's like, oh, this is different, but cool too. But we see Elle, I mean, I would say, again, like it's hard with a musical, because a musical is like much more ephemeral and much more in the vision of the performers and the director and stuff. But I will say the version of the musical I saw, I already said it was more grounded, less, like in the movie, again, the movie came out around 2001 or 2002, 2003. It's very over the top as far as its initial portrayal of Elle and her sorority sisters. So I don't know. That's just one thing, like where it's almost like broad comedy. Or I don't know. I mean, I think the musical leans on the sorority sisters more because they could become the Greek chorus. And so they're another way to kind of tell story and develop Elle's skills and her dialogue. And where in the movie it's different. In the movie they had more characters at law school, I guess. But there was a lot more Elle had to do on her own in the movie, which isn't a negative or positive. It's just like, okay, like in the movie, like, or in a musical, you want, there's more singing and more of a cast. So it makes sense. Trying to think of anything else, that strikes me now. So yeah, that's where we'll leave off right now. Now we'll get into like kind of act 2 and where it goes from there. Take it away, Scoots. All right, everybody, Scoots here, and we're talking about the act 2 of Legally Blonde, the musical. I don't know why I couldn't remember the name of it. I'm going to run through the names of the songs real quick. Into Shape, Delta New. Go. Well, I'm going to rephrase some of the songs I already did. Shopping with a Guy, Bend and Snap, There, Right There, Legally Blonde remix, At the Scene, Find My Way, and Finale. Okay, and then we're going to run through let's run through the whole Dan Harmon story circle real quick, and then we'll run through it with Legally Blonde. Okay, I think I talked about this earlier, but, the first parts of it is your comfort zone, ordinary world, the character's comfort zone, need something. In this case, something's not right. So then go, crossing the threshold, heeding the call to adventure, search, ups and downs, challenges, find. So this is when we get into the more nuanced, where really storytelling, and for me, it gets challenging. Because it's like even the rising, this is where boring bedtime stories stay boring, unintended. But anyway, this is why stories become timeless versus not timeless, I guess, or or really enjoyable. So find, getting what they wanted, but not how they expected. And this is quoting and reading from my notes. Character reaches a key milestone or achieves part of their goal, but it comes with a cost. This stage usually brings a major revelation, discovery, or moment that fundamentally changes the character's perspective. And this changes the direction of the story. And it shows they've gained something important, but it costs them or had a consequence. And that's kind of where we ended Act 1, right? Elle proves that she's capable or serious, or she has proven through her efforts to be serious. And her seriousness is paid off with her getting the internship, which is on something new, an unexpected thing to solve. But she gives up Warner. She does also discover she has a love of the law. And in the musical, she has developed friendships with Emmett and Paulette, as well as some more minor friendships. And Elle's behaving in character. I don't know. Maybe I'm So then the next parts of the story, which we'll kind of try to analyze, is take the consequences. Now that they've gotten what they wanted, they must face the consequences of their action and pay a price. Sacrifice, confrontation. Maybe it's inner, maybe it's external. It's often a moment where there's no lights, and they see the non-positive impact of their journey. So interesting how this helps clarify the story for me, where I can't quite do it. This is just part of my process. Is my brain is a bit more fragmented or fragmentary. I don't know if that's a thing, though. Okay, this shows the stakes of the journey, revealing how the pursuit of their desire has changed them and brought them unexpected consequences. Then we have Return the Journey Home. The protagonist makes her way back to the ordinary world, no longer the same person. They're changed by what they've experienced and have a new understanding. And this brings them back in a fundamentally different way. And then change the character's new normal. They return to their original setting, but they're transformed. This last step emphasizes growth, what they've integrated, what they've learned. The journey's over, but the character has changed. They become a different version of themselves. Okay, so where are we with Act 2, right? We're at, like the kind of the circle you could see across in a circle, right? And I feel like we're at, I think we're at the find, like when Act 2 kind of opens, like Elle's found, she got what she wanted, which is, she proved she was serious by doing serious things, studying and learning law. Also developed a kind of passion for the law. I don't think is this in the second act? Yeah. So then she, like, I don't know. I really like how Elle starts to become this unifier of worlds. I think as she goes to take and to return, but she continues to perform, she continues to be a heroine, even when the story structure is unclear to me. You know what they say, you can't put story in a box, story box. You can't put story in a box, not available anywhere. Okay, so basically, let me just walk you through what happens in the second act, and we'll see if we can figure it out together. How about that? So second act opens with a new character or someone who's played other characters, and it's a kind of two-part dance number, as well as we see Elle in a new version of Elle that has become. I don't know. I feel like, in my opinion, and this is not the story structure side, Elle's entered, I mean, she's still in the, like, lower part of the circle, which is kind of the subconscious or the underworld. And I feel like for a time she is in that world that Callahan said, swimming in the water, down in the lawyers swimming in the water. So what happens? We see the character. We meet Brooke, who needs some representation, and we get a really good dance number, and I think probably there's a lot of subtext, or like the song, even though Brooke's singing it probably talks about Elle's journey in some way. But yeah, let me get to my notes because. I actually did take notes. Okay, find, chip on my shoulder. Okay, so facing the consequences, take. So this one just seems, so basically we get this idea, okay, Elle and Vivian, Warner, Emmett, Callahan, and Enid. So Enid, Warner, Vivian, and Elle won the internship. Then Emmett works for Callahan, but Emmett's like a graduate of Harvard Law. So Callahan has this opportunity to help Brooke with what's going on with Brooke. So she needs representation. So we meet Brooke. We hear about what's going on with her. And then we actually go as the law students to meet with Brooke. And let me just see. So there's the song Getting Into Shape with Brooke. And then there's not a song for a little while but we get to see, I don't know, like the Elle really is someone already in this part of the story. Like almost in a sense, the story's good because we feel like, man, what else does Elle have to accomplish? Is she just going to keep getting better and better in this, and maybe some stories like Human Into Sleep podcast may do that. There's a lyric in Getting Into Shape. You're not thinking if you think the truth will help you, set you free. And what else we got? Any other lyrics I wrote down here? That's Legally Blonde. So much better. Okay, so no, I don't have any other lyrics I wrote down, just that one. Okay, so basically what happens is, or what's cool is they meet with Brooke. The most of the people are like, well, Brooke, we're just going to have to like use some technicalities. We're not going to help Brooke in the way she wants. We're going to help her in the way Callahan wants. And they go to Brooke and they say, yes, so this is what you're going to do. And she goes, no, I don't agree with that approach. And then they say, well, if you could give us any information about what you were doing, like before you needed our assistance, like maybe we could then figure something out. She goes, no, I'd rather keep that to myself. And they're like, well, how are we going to help you then? And she goes, I don't know, maybe you should figure that out. And so we see that this task is beyond the capabilities of the law students, and particularly enacting it, Callahan says either get her to agree to coalesce or something, or get her information, get whatever she doesn't want to tell anybody. Like not help, I don't know. Callahan's like, these are your choices, and they're unable to meet either choice, except Elle stays behind because she's realized that Brooke is also a member of the Delta News. And Elle, I think in this scene, shows her some basic kindness and says, hey, like, I really like all the other characters were unable to even connect with Brooke, even though they tried. So it's, I don't know, it's like, again, we're seeing Elle, what we knew she was capable of, but she's not solving everything instantly either. She's saying, okay. She goes, well, what were you doing anyway? Well, I don't really want to tell you. It's kind of like I'd rather keep it myself. Well, you could just tell me. I won't tell anybody. And she says, yeah, I was doing some stuff. I was using 2-in-1 conditioner. And Elle goes, oh, okay, I could see why you wouldn't want to tell anybody that since you're so glamorous. She says, so then Elle returns to Callahan and the other students. And we find out, they say, well, where were you at? Well, I was talking to her. Did you find out what she wanted? She didn't want to tell anybody. Yeah. Can you tell us? No, I told them I wouldn't. And Callahan's like, to all the law students and Emmett, like, did you get her to agree to my plan? No. And Elle found out what I needed to know, but she won't tell me. And everybody's like, all the other students are kind of, come on, Elle, just make this easy for all of us. And she says, no, I made my, like there's really good comedy writing in there. But then we also learned that, and maybe I forgot to talk about this in the first part, like Emmett is like, hey, I'm also always treated as an outsider. And because he was kind of supervising the students, Callahan says, you're an outsider, Emmett. You didn't get what I wanted done. And Elle, you won't give me this secret. So you're like, I don't even want to talk to either one of you. So that's kind of how we leave like Brooke and the case to be fixed. Then we get a couple nice interludes, I think. I think they're consecutive, maybe not. I guess we got one earlier when Elle fell in love. She helped Paulette get her dog back, and I think I forgot to mention that. Now, all of a sudden, the tables are kind of turned with Elle and Emmett. Emmett was the one mentoring Elle a little bit, and now she's mentoring him because she says one of the reasons, and it's an interesting play on the idea of appearance. Like the whole show really plays with that idea in a very nuanced way, especially in the musical. It's all about like the way the lines and some of the lyrics of songs is like Elle is extremely attractive, right? And her appearance is extremely important. And a lot of her power derives from her appearance. And why wouldn't you just rely on that and kind of thing, and that it actually matters? And then Elle goes on this internal journey or external journey too. And realizing like, here's Warner saying that's not even good enough. So I have to go in on this journey to kind of prove to him that I am more than my appearance. And she makes this discovery, but she also, this may be my only thing, is like she relays to Emmett, in the end of this song, beautiful song, Go Shopping with This Guy, that how much she knows from both worlds. And she's like, you know what? Like, I'm going to help you so your external appearance really represents what you are like, the magic of Emmett internally, at least with what he wears. And so, I don't know, there's just something I liked about it. Also, it's kind of like, it's a fun song, and I'm sure there's other lyrics that are really important in there, but do I have any other ones written down? Those are Legally Blonde lyrics. Going shopping with my guy. Well, he's not her guy yet, but no. Okay, well, that's fine. But so, I don't know. And again, we see that Elle is like heroic and kind. In this case, she's like trying to bring out the best in Emmett and kind of restore his confidence, because Emmett has a lot of like his story arc is like, he's like, you know, been kind of through a different journey as Elle, but constantly treated as an outsider and judged, like having to prove himself like unfairly and really like go beyond like what's expected. But he wants this return on his effort. And what he thinks similarly, like I think for him, like the idea of like buying his mom a house on the Cape is like just one part of it, but like similar to Elle's wanting Warner to think she's serious, you know? Okay, so then, yeah, we have another interlude where Elle goes to the salon and hangs out with Paulette, and there's a song, Bend and Snap. And again, it's different in the movie. I don't know, the movie's kind of like fun and exciting though too. But one, this is like a big dance number song, but like we're out, like Paulette likes this guy basically. And again, Elle's like unifying worlds in some sense or whatever, because she says, oh, like, you know, I know how, like, I can help you do this. And then the Greek chorus is there too. And so they say, hey, this is a technique you could use to capture the attention, like make small talk with this guy you're attracted to, Paulette, because you're already attractive and stuff too. And then she had kind of expressed like, oh, she wants this Ireland love. And when she first was like, Elle, you're special. So I don't know. I like the fact that Elle's like repaying the kindness with kindness that got her to this part in the story. I don't know if this is a structural thing with musicals or not, but it's also like showing, wow, this is a woman we're rooting for. Holy cow. Like she really cares about her friends. It's not like, I guess in that sense, it is a little bit less where it's like the character's not on a journey, like where they get a full head, like Elle's still behaving in value. I don't know if she ever leaves her values. They just shift, which I think makes the impact of the rest of the story, especially in the musical, so much more powerful because we're rooting for Elle so hard. I am. Instead of like having the character have a takedown or behave out of value and say, well, I don't know if I like Elle. You know, maybe she doesn't deserve everything. At this point in the story, I think most people, if you're like letting yourself go along with it, you'd be like, Elle deserves anything. She's on her way and she's going to be legally blonde or whatever. Like it's going to be great. But you know, you probably wouldn't be there for 2.5 hours if it was that simple. So Elle helps Emmett get a really nice outfit and Paulette like talk to the UPS guy. Okay, then right there is the next song, which I don't remember at all. Like I remember, okay, this is the scene so this is the case scene. Okay, so then we go back and it's like the first day of like them trying, or they're trying to help Brooke, clear her name. And we realize, like, again, they're up against, they can't get Brooke to do what Callahan wants. They don't know why Brooke can't just clear her name by clearing her name because she doesn't want everybody to know she used 2-in-1 conditioner. So, wow, this is like, we're really going to have to like solve this. And Brooke, in the sense, I guess she's kind of a truth teller too. She's like, you need to figure this out. This isn't my job. So then we're in this situation, and in the musical, they just make it easy, but it makes sense. Like where it's like, and you could kind of see that Emmett and Brooke are still Emmett and Elle are still on the outs. Also, I think it's important to know in the musical, Elle has changed her costume to fit in this new world. Like she's wearing a navy suit. Okay, so then we kind of see, okay, but this is a heroine. Now we're rooting for Emmett too. So what's going to happen? And between Elle and Emmett, they get the person who's talking about like kind of setting up Elle. They turn the tables on this person. And in the musical version, it's very fun and a lot of dancing. And they say, holy cow, now we have a chance. By the end of that scene, it's like, now we have a chance to prove this. Like between Elle and Emmett, wow, you really work together as a team. You really like use things. Now we're on the verge of this big finale. But holy cow. And it kind of happens in the movie similarly, but it's a little bit more of a slow thing. So I think in the musical, this one is like powerful. Because I don't know if you're like I said, you're probably already on board, but there is probably something about you, like I talked about in the first episode, that's wired for story or whatever. So you're like, okay, well, but there's like 15, 20 minutes left in this musical, maybe even 25. I don't think, and the part of us that doesn't know, we wouldn't be satisfied if we just got dessert through the rest of the musical. And Elle is a heroine, and I guess, so this is where we are in the story structure, right? Depending, is like in the take versus the return. And maybe we're getting a little taste of her return. But this is the take, is like the protagonist has gotten what they wanted, but there's a price they must pay. And for Elle, it's finding out how what Callahan said, the Callahan's world has no good, he's not a good person. His values are, and he was only judging Elle by her appearance and what it could do for him, and that he didn't value Elle at all except for her appearance. And it's not surprising in the general sense, but in the musical, it's like, you always suspect Callahan's not the greatest, but you're like, whoa, we thought this was we were rooting for Elle to take it to the finish and win, save Brooke and everything. And it is like, it was really powerful. I just feel like, holy moly. And you feel burned by Callahan, but you feel like, here's this woman who went through all this whole journey, and now she's left out, like, in saying, you had no value except how you looked to me. And anything else was just an illusion that I was using, also, like, you aren't welcome in this world, and you aren't a part of this world, and there isn't a place in this world, the legal Callahan world, for you. But so it does have a big impact, and then it has Elle's reaction, or her initial reaction, which is almost like a fake return home, because she says, well, wow, this is, she has to process it first. She says, holy cow. A lot of times when you hear people, like, you listen to podcasts with, like, people that wrote stuff or movies or whatever, and they say, yeah, we came up with, like, what's the worst thing that could happen to this character? Like, particularly in the musical, just because it's so distilled, they did that. And especially because of what Elle's takeaway from it is, right? Because it's like, I'm not serious and I am only how I look. And I should have known that all along. And I mean, I guess I relate in the sense of like, what if all this work I did was just an illusion and futile and it was never going to work out for me? Maybe that's why I relate to it so much too, is like, my worst fears did come true, and I tried. I really tried, and it didn't work out. Not only did it not work out, everything that I didn't want to believe was proven to be true. But luckily, and Vivian gets a lot more time and development in the movie, but Vivian is like, initially is like this little bit of an antagonist to Elle. Warner's kind of like love interest. She does, but she is like, and maybe there's other version of the musical where she has a little bit more character development, but she has been witness to Elle's, even on some level, she's witnessed Elle's persistence, Elle's capability, and that Elle is serious, more so than Warner. And so, and then Elle has had a positive impact on Paulette's life, and Enid kind of like has also kind of been like a sub-witness like Vivian and Emmett. So, but Elle says, my reaction is just go back to my ordinary world, not a return, but a reversal. I'll just retreat back to my ordinary world. And if I mean, again, like just relate, I say, holy cow, deflated. I'm just going to go back home and get in bed. And then, and even Vivian has this line earlier in the musical where she goes, we'll be all like titans of the world. You're going to go tan. And it kind of gets a little bit of a callback in this part of the musical. So, but then, and again, because musicals can be more punchy, this is at least the way it was directed at the chorus performance. So Elle goes into the shop, Paulette's beauty shop. She says, I'm going home, like I've been defeated. Paulette says, no, I didn't think you could be defeated. I mean, this is my summary. And Elle says, no. And then Vivian says, oh no, Vivian's there. And then Vivian gives her big song, her big number. And then Paulette and Enid kind of are part of it in the chorus. And they remind Elle that she's powerful. But like the initial reaction of Elle is like, nope. Like this is like, like your behavior earlier. I mean, this is again, my projection, not what happens in the musical, but she says, Vivian, you and Enid's behavior earlier, making sure I knew I wasn't welcome in this world. And then everything that's happened since can't be undone. The damage can't be undone. She doesn't say that. It's just in acting. And she leaves the stage. And for a brief moment, we get this reaction from Paulette, Enid, and Vivian. And again, maybe it's just projection, but I saw like with Vivian and Enid, oh my gosh, like we were a part of this and we couldn't fix, we acted too late to undo it. But no, Elle's a hero. So basically we get this huge reveal. And this is Legally Blonde. I think maybe even, is Enid's song? I mean, let's see. Elle, Emmett, Vivian. Oh, so Elle had already sang Legally Blonde. So I think the first bars of Legally Blonde are like her saying, yeah, no. Like, I guess it's like almost like it's an insult, Legally Blonde. And then it becomes an empowered thing in the now. And then it becomes where Elle's like, now I'm returning. And almost says to Vivian, like all of them, like, you coming? Like, it's time for me to return to the world of law. And like this, instead of going back to her ordinary world, I think what's interesting about this version is Callahan is the representation of the ordinary world in the new world almost. He's like this old stuffy stand-in who only believes like the same things that Warner believed and he kind of Elle believed about herself at the start of the story. So that's where she returns to instead of returning to Malibu or Bel Air in the movie. So she returns and she's changed back because pink was her signature color. And again, in the musical, it really punched and so then they get first they do this Legally Blonde thing. Then they go back to the helping Brooke situation. And this is where we go from the return to the change. So I think in the sense Brooke going there and she says, this is what happened with Callahan. And Brooke says, well, let's get rid of him. And I mean, it's revealed in a way. It's really fun. And then Enid and Vivian of now in the musical, everybody returns. So I guess in that sense, Elle's parents and the Delta News also come into the new world. So it's kind of I think in some of the hero's journey is a melding of hero worlds or whatever. But I really do think that she still is returning, even though everybody's coming there. She's returning, by the way, because Callahan really is a distilled version of the values of that, the surface values of the story. So they go there. She says, hit the road, Callahan. Brooke says, hit the road, Callahan. He says, you can't, you're not capable, and I won't allow it. And she says, incorrect on both things. And then they say, bye, dude, and he leaves. And I think in this sense, so now Elle is transformed, and particularly in the musical, in the movie, it's handled a little bit it's just unfolds a little bit slower and not through song. But here, Elle is okay, so let's get things fixed for Brooke. And again, we see that, again, she is transversing both worlds because what ends up fixing everything is her knowledge from her past life, right? She knows about hair care that about perms, which is particularly relevant to Sleep With Me. And she says, this is how we're going to solve this. But she's changed because, I think because she spans both, she's confronted the old world's values. She's kind of embraced her signature color, pink, legally blonde, and even her knowledge from the old world about perms. It's only by her using what she's learned through being serious about the law and kind of her own underlying skills of deduction and reasoning that maybe she honed through all these things that she says, okay, this is it. And then they say, okay, Brooke, you can go, man. I'll save the day. And then we have this, then we have the close of the musical, but we're actually celebrating. And it does have more impact because it's if we didn't have that, because I guess for me, that's where it gets confusing with making stories is how do you do that where she already lost Warner's love, right? And it appears like it wasn't worth it anyway, and it wasn't real, and it wasn't he wasn't worth it. But then it's no. I guess that's the difference between a pretty good story and a great story, in my opinion, is no, that was just the kind of hard part. We got something else. She's a heroine. She has to, so I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, like I said, more than likely within the next year or two, or right now, somewhere in the world near you, is it probably like a local group or a high school or a teen group or younger group? Maybe not. Maybe I don't know if they have Legally Blonde for tween. I mean, what do they call it? Kids stage, but somewhere there's a local theater probably performing this musical. Maybe it's touring too. And you should check it out and support. I mean, the people that perform, they do it because they love it, right? And they love telling stories and singing and dancing. But particularly if you like dancing, hopefully the version you see has as many dance breaks as this one did. And yeah, special shout out to Celeste, Russell, and Tim, who were the director, the choreographer, and the musical director. Celeste, Russell, and Tim, as well as Sophia and her whole cast. So I didn't think this would go 2 episodes, but it's pretty fun. And hopefully we'll do it again. If you like this kind of content, let me know. You can reach me through the contact form on our website, or if you support the show, there's tons of times to interact. Thanks so much. Hey, this is Scoots here, tucking you in with a message from Roberta. I've been reading through these people who support the show, who chose to support the podcast, because me kind of pointing out, hey, you should support the podcast because of this, or you get these sweet benefits or whatever. It just... I realized, one, I'm only trying to get this message across to people, that already want to support the show and kind of give them a little boost to do it, right? To overcome that last piece of resistance. Like I realized, hey, why don't you just read what the people that did that part of their thing, don't bother. Oh, I don't know, I'll do it later or whatever. So just reading through these. So if you identify with what Roberta says, all you need to do, it's really simple steps. Go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus, sign up. You could set up the bonus content tomorrow, and you're really making a decision that has a huge impact, positive impact on the podcast, the people who listen to it, and to you night after night after night. So I appreciate it. Roberta says, Sleep With Me became my bedtime buddy after learning about it from a close friend. I decided to ditch the ads and get Scoot's bedcasts quicker. I'm delighted to pay for something that I get value out of. I'm delighted to pay. Somewhere between the tangents and the abrupt switches of Scooter's spoken words, I drift into sleep, but I don't realize I was asleep until the morning when I awake. I receive more than I give. Thank you, Drew, for being a bedtime bore. Please continue boring me to sleep. My favorite bonus is a Ray or the All Intros or the Trader Joe's Fearless Flyers. I like listening to you go shopping, even though I don't like going shopping, grocery shopping. I adore supporting and helping defray costs for my good sleep. After I signed up, I received a personal video of Drew, and I believe the sincerity in those eyes made me grateful to be a participant in Sleep With Me. Wow, thanks so much, Roberta. So I guess that's in the end what Roberta said. Like, if you receive more than you give from the show, think about it's a pretty good investment, right? Like someone like Roberta is probably paying $120 or $240 a year, and hopefully Sleep With Me brings really like thousands of dollars of value to you every single night. So if that's the case, think about it and go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus, PLUS. Sign up to support the show, and then you'll get a video from me tomorrow or later on in the week. Then you can set up the bonus content, when you're more well-rested. It really is just a few steps, and it makes a huge difference for me and the show. Thanks.